Welcome to the farm.
Welcome to the farm. I'm Justin, and today we are back on our waterline project. Now, it's been about a week since I've worked on this waterline project. In that week, we had 2 really heavy days, solid straight 2 days of rain, which was great for the trench that we already have backfilled. It really helped settle everything down. I can see where my low spots are. I can see where my high spots are. It's gonna be great for when we go back and finish grade that. Unfortunately, it created another problem. So the issue is all that rain made the top couple layers of the dirt really, really heavy, and we're digging in some really sandy, gravelly, loose stuff. So unfortunately, those top couple layers kind of caved into the hole that I had open to extend my water line and my conduit. And right where I'm standing is, well, right here where I'm standing is where our conduit was, and that's completely buried now. I'm guessing it's about a foot underneath my feet or so. So we'll have to dig that out. But the big issue is my water line here. I had this curled up out of the trench, ready to extend this trench. And right now I'm at about 3 feet deep, and I was about 2 feet deeper in this spot. So we're gonna have to probably extend this trench out, hand dig out around the water line because I don't want to break it with the excavator, and get it back down to the depth it needs to be. It's gonna be a lot of work, but it needs to be done. So let's go ahead, get the excavator out of the barn, and start moving some dirt. All right, well, I got the water line dug back out to the proper depth. Now I just got to clean out that front side of that trench, and we should be able to just keep moving. I'm going to still do what I did in the last video, where I'm going to go about 2 feet or so, run the water line, put a little bit of dirt on top of it to hold it down, just in case the trench caves in on the far back side. At least it'll cave in on top of the water pipe and not underneath it, where I have to dig it back out again. So we've been going for a total of about 40 minutes or so now since we started digging out that water line. And I'm really happy we got it out. We got another probably 4 feet of water pipe in the trench. Camera's overheating in the sun, so I'm gonna set you guys up in the shade. We're gonna hit a time lapse and just see how far we can get. So I've been digging for about 30 more minutes now, and I think I got maybe another 3 to 4 feet. So we're averaging about a foot of distance every 10 minutes, which is pretty slow, but it's very rocky, hard digging soil, and I have a very small underpowered machine, which I knew coming into this. I'm very happy with how the machine's performing, aside from one thing. It's still getting very hot, and at this point, I know I was talking about it in video number 2 on the trenching series, and we're on video number 6. I still haven't worked out any kind of cooling system or anything like that, but I do have something in mind. I have parts in mind, so I think I might take a break from this video, record that video of installing the fan and everything like that, and then hopefully this afternoon we can come back and start digging. I'm not sure if that video will be released before this one. If it is, I'll put a link to that in the description. If not, you'll have that to look forward to. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for digging for now, because I got to do something about this. This thing is so hot. I mean, like, it's hot to my hand just touching the case here. And I've had this open for probably about a good 10 minutes cooling off already, so we need to do something about that. Well, it's 4.5 hours later, but the fan is installed. And I am pretty happy with it. It seems like it moves a pretty good amount of air. And when I walk around the machine and put my hands on the other vents, I can feel a little bit of suction, so it should really help cool this thing down. Unfortunately, while I was working on that, we had some of the topsoil cave in the trench again and kind of buried our water line in the bad spot, just like it did this morning. However, I don't think it's as bad as this morning, but it still stinks. Well, enough complaining about it. Let's just get to work and fix it. So that was nowhere near as bad as it was this morning. I'm already dug out and ready to go. So I think what I'll do is I'll set you guys back up in the shade so the camera doesn't overheat. And now that we got a fan on this machine, let's see how long we can dig for before we get to shut it down and let it cool off. So I've been digging now for about an hour, and the machine, significant improvement with the fan on it. Normally by now it'd be stumbling, popping, it'd be miserable sitting on that seat, and I wouldn't even be able to touch the machine. I keep my hand on the machine, it's not stumbling, popping at all. It's still warm sitting on that seat, but nowhere near as hot. So I am really, really happy I did that fan. I should have done it right at the beginning of this project, after that first day when it was getting really hot. But you live and you learn. Anyway, the soil is changing now, and it's not caving in as much, which is awesome. I haven't had to go down in the trench much at all. I've been able to just kind of keep digging and roll the water line right out, and if something caves in now, it's caving on top of the water line. I'm really, really happy about that. We're getting a lot more. The clay level is going from about 6 inches, and we're probably about 2 feet of clay now. So as we go this way, I'm hoping we get more and more of that clay and less of that sand and gravel, and we won't have to worry about the trench caving in and having to go down in there, because I hate going down in those trenches. All right, well, enough talking. Let's get back to digging. The digging is going so much better today than it did last weekend. Last weekend, I ran for, I think it was 6 to 8 hours digging all weekend long, and I made it like 15 feet. Today, we've ran for maybe 3.5, maybe 4 hours total, and we're already at 30 feet of trench today. It's so much better. The machine's running better, it's a lot more comfortable, it's cooler, and we're getting into some better dirt, so the sidewalls are actually staying. It's only having little issues at the bottom, like 2 feet of the trench, which is not a big deal. So the only reason I stopped the excavator is out of gas, and I am not gonna go and pour gas on that thing with it being so hot. So I think what we're gonna do, we'll pull the water line a little bit further, and we're gonna start backfilling up to our conduit height. All right, well, I got a good section of the trench backfilled. It's nowhere near where it needs to be for conduits, but I'm not gonna worry about that today. We can go ahead and straighten that out maybe in the beginning of the next video, throw our conduits in, backfill this section, and then hopefully continue digging and see how far we get. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. I just wanna say thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.